This video is what an American thinks about Moldova. I took the train to Moldova from Romania, from right near the border of Romania. And I spent one afternoon there, but I slept because I was really tired. And then the entire next day, and then I took the night train out of there. So I spent pretty much only one day in the capital of Romania, Chisinau. I hung out one night when I was there with my two roommates in the hostel, this Belgian guy and an American girl. And and the American girl said that she had read in some happiness index that the Romanians got last place in all the countries of the whole world. They were the least happy people. And walking around Romania, they did seem kind of like Moldova. They did seem kind of like the Romanians in personality-wise, just kind of like glum. We had one waiter at some bar though who was really happy and cheerful and everything. I don't think they could speak English. I had trouble speaking English with any of the people there. The people at our hostel, it was interesting. They had it was these two old people. Neither of them could speak English at all. But she was really friendly. She wanted to make sure that my bike was safe. Didn't want me to lock my bike out outside. So she let me bring it in, even though there was hardly enough room. But I talked for a long time, actually, a couple hours with this really talkative Moldovan girl, my roommate in the hostel in Bucharest. And she was telling me about Romania. Moldova. Moldova is part of Romania. They're all Romanians, and Moldova is a different country because the Russians went in there and snatched it, and then they owned it, and then with the breakup of the USSR, it became its own country. Instead of putting it back in with Romania, since it got so Russianized, they just made it Moldova. And I guess it's a distinct part of Romania. It's always been, a certain part of Romania, like a certain dialect, I guess, of Romanian. But their language is Romanian. But I guess since they were part of USSR, and I can't remember for how long it was, but they all had to learn Russian. So it's a bilingual country, I guess. If you're older, you speak Russian as a first language, and then if you're younger, then I guess you'd speak Romanian as a first language. Or everybody's just bilingual. I was in Romania, and I think they were, I guess, I can't remember, but I think they used both the Latin and the Cyrillic script. But I saw Cyrillic more, so they're still, I think, mainly Cyrillic. Chisinau is a capital city. It's not a big city though. I guess it's a medium-sized capital city. It's not nearly as big. It's not a big city like most capital cities, like Bucharest. But it's bigger than some capital cities I've been to. On this trip, actually I guess not. You have two kinds of capital cities. You have the big ones and then the ones that aren't so big. This one wasn't so big. This is as big as Pristina. It was bigger than. It was bigger than the capital of Montenegro, Podgorica. Podgorica wasn't big at all. But anyways, Chisinau, it had a couple of squares in the center of it, which were okay, which were pretty. I noticed a lot of people sitting around though, which was interesting, which I hadn't noticed so much until then. People go to the park and they sit on the park benches. They do that actually a lot in those countries. In Sofia, I noticed it. But I didn't really notice people not doing anything. Until I got to Chisinau, I'd see people just sitting there. Just sit on the park bench and sit there. Which is something you'll see a lot in third world countries. Is people just sitting there. And they're not doing anything, they're just sitting there. I sat down and there was this one guy sitting on a park bench who I sat down next to because I bought a beer and I was just drinking it. And he was talking to me a little bit. He said his daughter had moved to America, and but he didn't speak any English, so it was not much to talk about. But And they had this lake there that I wanted to look at, but I had to go down these big steep stairs, and I didn't feel like carrying my bike down it, so, because I had all my gear with me. So I've ventured around a little bit more. I went to this other big park area, and on the map it looked pretty, like this big park in the center, but I was riding my bike through it, and it was really dilapidated. And even getting to it, I went through part of this neighborhood of these, you know, those big communist apartment buildings, and it was really dilapidated going there. The roads going in there were not paved, or they were paved, but there were lots of really big potholes going up there, and the sidewalks were cracked. It was like, you know, parts of Albania can be like that. And then I went into the park, and it was really dilapidated. It was like a wilderness area, sort of. And the paved areas going in were cracked and potholy and everything. There were people in there, but one really bizarre thing, yet again, is you see these people, and they're sitting around, and they weren't talking to each other. They were just sitting there. Like, so I don't know, maybe Moldovans, they have some, they're just, maybe it's because, maybe due to something happening with the Russians or something, suppressing them with the communism just made them not, took their personalities away or something. Their education wasn't high enough to talk about anything. Because I saw a lot of that. But there are guys with their shirts off and their shirts pulled up like this. They do that a lot in that area to cool down. That I saw. But there were lots of people there in that park, and yeah. And then I had dinner at some pizza place, and the waitress was really nice there. But yeah, that's Moldova. That's all I really know about. The girl who I talked to, for the Moldovan girl, she said that she never wanted to go back to Moldova. That Moldova is totally screwed, and that it's run by gangsters. And one really weird thing about Moldova that I noticed that was really weird is I wanted to get a new video camera because I left my video camera on the counter of a bathroom and walked away. And I only had the video camera for like 3 weeks. It totally sucked. And I got the video camera. It was a Canon video camera, and I got it for 200 euros in Patras, Greece, which is like 250 bucks. And so I walked into a store. I saw the store for electronics. I walk into the store and I see the same video camera. And I do the exchange, and it turns out it's $550, $564 or something. So they marked it up big time, and I don't know what the deal with that is. If it's you know, the taxes they put on imports for electronics, or some kind of monopoly that the electronics stores have there. But that sounds, I'm not an economist or anything, but that, to me, that sounds mafioso to me. That sounds wrong. There's no reason why stuff like that should be so expensive in a country where people are so poor. So yeah, that was weird. That's a huge difference in price. So that's what I think about Romania. Moldova. But since it was Moldova and I speak Romanian, when I talk to people, I just speak to them in Spanish because they can understand Spanish because it's a Romance language. And even the woman at the train station, who was getting agitated with me for no reason. That's kind of something that the Romanians and Moldovans, I noticed, they're like, they get like upset. Kind of like how you would imagine a Russian to be, like a gruff Russian. But anyway, she was talking to me in French. She's like, "You understand French?" I was like, "Yeah." So, because I can understand French too, because it's a Romance language. So that was interesting. And then I took the train into Kiev, Ukraine. Okay. So that's what an American thinks about Moldova.